One of the worst feelings for any homeowner is not being able to make their house payments. I'd like to introduce Jane McNamara, the president and CEO of GreenPath Debt Solutions, a not-for-profit organization that helps people enjoy a better quality of life through financial counseling, education, and also by offering solutions to help individuals and families plan for their future. Jane will talk with you about what happens when a homeowner is in trouble.
There are many kinds of trouble a homeowner can have. One is the loss of income when one person in a two-income family loses a job. A homeowner can become overextended on mortgage or credit card debt. It can also be in the case of a divorce. The person who gets the house can't meet the payments. First-time or low-income homeowners sometimes find themselves with more house than they can afford. When there's a problem with your mortgage, it has to be faced, and you can't be afraid to ask for help because there are people who can help. If there is even a possibility of foreclosure, you need to seek the help and support of a qualified financial counselor.
There are a couple of danger signs I think that people might see when it comes to their house. And these are things that if you see them, you should run to a financial counselor right away. One thing might be living paycheck to paycheck, or not being able to afford the utilities in addition to things like groceries and your car payment and insurance and things like that.
Well, when you initially meet with a credit counselor, it's very important that you come very prepared. You should know exactly what your goals are, how you want to get there, and provide that credit counselor with the information necessary for them to assist you.
You're definitely going to need to know who your lender is, what type of loan you have, how much you owe, the state of your delinquency, and so forth. In addition to just a basic rundown of your personal budget. What does your income look like? You might want to bring some pay stubs, some Social Security stubs, and then a breakdown of your basic household expenses as well. This is going to be important not only to the counselor, but to the mortgage company as well.
And the other thing to keep in mind is that you are a partner in this process. It's not all the credit counselor, it's not all the home lender, it's you as well coming up with some solutions on how to deal with the financial problems you're facing.
Don't wait to take action.
A lot of times people avoid picking up the phone when they're afraid to talk to the mortgage company, but you should never be afraid to talk to the mortgage company because you might be able to negotiate some payments with them or get on a special workout plan. So there are definitely options for people when they're struggling with their mortgage. You want to face your problems, and sometimes going to a credit counselor is helpful because they can give you the guidance and the support when it comes to contacting your mortgage company.
Many people believe that they simply can walk away from a home by turning the keys over to the lender. Unfortunately, that's not true.
It's never as simple as just leaving the keys on the kitchen counter and walking out the front door. Your mortgage is a debt contract. It's possible that your lender might pursue you for any remaining balances after you've left. And also foreclosure is going to eventually happen at that point, and there's serious credit implications to that as well. Foreclosure ranks right up there with bankruptcy as one of the biggest negative marks you can have on your credit report. And that's a lasting mark that'll be there for many, many years to come.
Fortunately, you don't have to feel that you're alone if you're facing these problems. There's often a lot that can be done. First, it's important to understand the sequence of a foreclosure.
The initial thing that happens when you miss your first payment is that you'll be contacted by the mortgage lender. Usually it's a consumer representative who's attempting to determine why the payment was missed and what your intentions are in curing this default. If you do not contact or communicate with that representative at that time and you miss a second payment, you'll be contacted in writing by the lender, again, to determine what your intentions are and what your plans are to cure the default in connection with the outstanding loan. If a third payment is missed, you might be contacted by an attorney at that time. The attorney representing the lender will indicate to you that you have defaulted on the loan and what the possibilities are in dealing with this default.
Help is available even when actually facing foreclosure.
The first step is to find a HUD-certified counselor. HUD-certified counselors can be found at the Housing and Urban Development website, which is hud.gov. Once they locate a HUD-certified counselor, that person will assess their situation, help them talk to their lender, and bring them to the best possible solution as quickly as possible. You don't have to feel as if you're standing there alone. A counselor has the latest information. They get training. They get funding through the government, and this counseling is free. You will come away from your session with a counselor with clarity, with knowledge, and feel more empowered about your situation.
After this point in the process, the homeowner could be facing costs beyond the missed payments.
Once the fourth payment is missed, you probably will get a letter from the attorney for the lender. The attorney will attempt to explain to you what the ramifications are and how the process will proceed in a potential foreclosure. You'll be given an opportunity to cure the default, which really means to bring your account current. If you have that ability, now's the time to effectuate it and take care of it. If you don't, you should obviously communicate with the lender and the lender's attorney on what you attempt to do to avoid the ultimate foreclosure. If you do not have the ability to do so and have no ability to cure this default, the house will eventually go to a foreclosure sale.
Until the time of eviction, there are still actions the homeowner can take.
You will eventually receive a notice of a foreclosure sale date. You still have time to work things out at this point. You should contact a professional again, whether it's an attorney, a credit counselor, or the lender, in order to determine whether or not there are certain things you can do now to avoid a foreclosure. If you're unable to work things out at this point in time, your house will be sold. You will have to prepare for an eventual eviction. Sometimes you have as long as 6 months, however, from the actual sale date before an eviction will take place.
There are a number of things a homeowner can do when faced with this unfortunate situation, but you must make an effort. The steps you take can determine whether you keep the home or lose it. If the choice is to retain the home, there are a number of plans and arrangements the owner may be able to work out with the lender.
Well, if you run into financial difficulty and you'd like to keep the home, you don't want to sell it, you don't want to go into foreclosure, but you want to stay living in the property, there's a few things you can consider. The first is what's called a reinstatement, where you catch up on the mortgage payments right away and the mortgage company just reinstates the mortgage the way it was before. The second is what's called a repayment plan, where you catch up on those payments over time. Maybe you add a little bit to your monthly payment every month that you're sending in to catch up on the payments that you've been behind on.
The sooner that the individual homeowner starts making the effort, starts working towards a solution with their lender, with the assistance of a counselor, the better the result is going to be. The further that they get down the delinquency track, the more confused they're going to be as the collection efforts are stepped up, and it's going to be a much quicker, better, and more satisfactory solution to all parties.
Two other possible retention methods are forbearance and loan modification.
There are some options that are available to homeowners that are facing default in their mortgage. One of the things that can happen is the mortgage company can agree to forbear. That's a technical term. In essence, the mortgage company will agree not to pursue a foreclosure action while you take certain steps to remedy the default. Many lenders are working with their homeowners for a loan modification. A loan modification is a reduction perhaps in the principal amount that you owe, or a reduction in the interest amount that you have originally agreed to, or actually extending the amount of time that you have to repay the loan. All of these things can result in a reduction in the monthly payment that you have with the lender.
Sometimes, sadly, retention isn't an option. Non-retention, or simply losing the house, is the only possibility. If non-retention is the only path, it becomes necessary to consider ways to limit your losses.
One of the options that's available to you if you're facing financial trouble is to sell your home. You can put it on the market and attempt to sell it for more than what you owe on it at this time. That certainly is your best option in order to avoid a foreclosure. If you're not able to sell the house, however, for what you owe on it, you're going to have to consider something called a short sale. In a short sale, you are basically selling the house for less than what you owe the lender. In order to accomplish this, however, you must contact the lender in order to secure the lender's approval of any sale for less than the amount due.
Two other preferable types of loss mitigation are deed in lieu of foreclosure and assumption.
If you're not able to sell the house either outright for the amount that you owe or for something less, you may want to consider offering a deed in lieu of foreclosure. Some mortgage lenders will agree to accept your house in return for a deed in order to avoid the foreclosure process in its entirety. This is something that the lender would have to agree to before you could walk away or abandon the house, however.
And the second thing is called an assumable mortgage, and these are common with adjustable rate mortgages. So if you have an adjustable rate mortgage, typically it might have a clause in there that's called an assumable feature, where you can sell the home and the buyer of your new home doesn't have to apply for a new mortgage. They can simply assume your mortgage and pick up where you left off. Now these two options, the deed in lieu and the assumable mortgage, are not as common today as they have been in the past, but they're still worth consideration.
Complex situations are easier when they're taken step by step.
Number one, don't panic. Number two, talk to some professionals about your situation. There are options available, and it's definitely worth exploring what those options are.
If you believe you're in financial trouble with your mortgage, communicate with a professional immediately and take advantage of services that are available, and many of them are free. A qualified counselor can help you decide, based on your particular situation, which course to take in order to do the least damage to your credit rating and your financial situation. But this will happen only if you ask for help and follow the professional advice you're given.
Beware of foreclosure rescue scams. Scam artists prefer to prey on the most vulnerable people. These so-called rescuers pretend to offer help and hope to people who are willing to consider nearly any option to keep from losing their homes. In a very common scam, the rescuer charges outrageous fees for making a few phone calls or doing paperwork that the homeowners could easily do themselves. And none of it does anything to save the home. Not only does this scammer give the homeowner false hope, he also keeps them from seeking qualified help. Another scam is called the bailout. Homeowners are actually lied to so that they sign over their titles, thinking they'll be able to stay in the house as a renter and eventually buy it back. The buyback cost is always more than the people can afford. In a bait-and-switch scam, homeowners think they're signing documents to bring the mortgage current, but they're actually giving up ownership of their houses. The next step is eviction. And worst of all, they're still responsible to the lender for the mortgage debt. Always seek accredited professional help. Don't sign any document you haven't had explained by an attorney. And don't, under any circumstances, sell your home without first talking to your lender. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.